Racing is it's life. Anything that happens before or after, it's just waiting.
Hello and welcome everybody back once again to the SFRGT Challenge Friday night Season 4 Round 3 here at Silverstone, brought to you by SimStaff. SimStaff is on the lookout for dedicated sim racers and enthusiasts to join the team. If you're ready to dive into the world of sim racing, apply now and be a part of the excitement. Link down in the description and tell them that SFRGT sent you. Welcome along, everybody. I hope everyone's having a lovely evening, afternoon, or morning, wherever you are in this fine world. I'm Mike Nause in the booth, and joining with me tonight is none other than Carson Kass. Carson, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, Mike. How are we in the booth?
Doing absolutely wonderful. Carson, why don't you tell us a little bit about this circuit that we're here at tonight, Silverstone?
We'll be doing round 3 here at Silverstone, obviously. 3.6 mile track. If you watch F1, you definitely know all about this straight, with the Hamilton Straight starting us off right at the beginning. Founded in 1948, the current layout just from 2020, located in Northamptonshire, England. Hopefully my Brits do not torch me on that one. 18 corners, 8 to the left, and 10 to the right, and a 30 feet of elevation change, so not much going on there, but we are going to be running 30 minutes, then a 45-minute race tonight.
Yeah, with only 11 meters, 30 feet of elevation change here in Northamptonshire, England, as the British chaps are going to be a little upset at you, but that's okay. Nonetheless, 18 corners here, thrilling. This is located on a World War II hangar base, obviously founded back long ago. There was plenty of those strung about after World War II, and Silverstone, my absolute personal favorite track. I love it. And we are going to be racing here tonight with the likes of 23 drivers in the championship, running strong as well. When we head on over to take a look at the standings, we have Lucas Costa leading the way currently at 56 points. Albert Tranghisi tied in P2 with Marcos Vinicius at 49. Mohamud bringing up fourth at 44. Tied, I should say, in fourth with Silva. And sixth there, bringing up for Pagani. It's a tight championship. And as we get into this night here tonight, Carson, we're seeing time set onto the board. When we head down into the session.
Yeah, right now in that Evo GT3, in that McLaren, leading us now is Rivera, who has not participated in a race yet, though is definitely an accomplished sim racer. Very high sim grid rating and very fast car, obviously.
Yeah, Ricardo Rivera, very familiar with. He is in that Puerto Rico iRacing club. He's not representing that car here tonight, but in the Inception Racing, going to be tackling Maggots and Beckett's as he comes out of pit lane. Of course, we do use the alternate layout here to in terms of where we start. The start-finish line is going to be on that Lewis Hamilton straight. Otherwise, where the start-finish line would be compared to the actual Formula One race. That's what I'm trying to say. There we go. Or no, it's not on the Lewis Hamilton straight. It's on the other one. It's on the after Woodcut sweep.
Yeah, this track is full of history with that Lewis Hamilton straight, obviously, and it, being built on a World War II hangar base. So, a lot of history tonight. Hopefully, we get some more historic runs as Lucas Costa, takes over as the provisional pole.
As it stands, it looks like it. And with 6.5 minutes to go, this is a shootout, a free-for-all. The format we're looking at here tonight is going to be a doubleheader. We have a 30-minute race, followed up by a 45-minute race with 2 qualifying sessions involved. And these drivers are going to be battling for the points here tonight. I didn't bring up a points display graphic because I'm professional, but that's all right. Welcome along, everybody, here tonight. As I said, hope everyone's having a lovely evening, afternoon, or morning, wherever you are in this fine world.
Yeah, obviously Lucas Costa has won the first 2 rounds, but they do have that elimination rule where your worst result will be eliminated, and that'll kind of make points a little bit tighter, especially in the case of Lucas Costa when, Lucas hasn't finished any lower than first.
Yeah, Lucas been absolutely dominant here tonight. He did have that 4th place finish in round 2, but that was, of course, a practice round. So it is going to be dominant from the Brazilian, Luis Costa, as he has been aptly nicknamed. Of course, Lewis Hamilton being Brazilian, right? He's obviously Brazilian. He's a Brazilian citizen, though.
That is true, but that's definitely not why they named a Silverstone straight after him. Maybe he's a Brazilian. I don't know.
You're also one thing that I need to correct on both of us, because we both, and I'm so bad, I cannot believe that I haven't mentioned this already. We've been saying that straight wrong the entire time. It's the Sir Lewis Hamilton straight.
Ah.
So
Of course.
My apologies to the viewers for butchering that so terribly.
Yeah, Mike, well, we all make mistakes, including us, as it might be very hard to believe for the members of chat witnessing us not make mistakes ever, truly.
Yeah, never have made a mistake here on stream at the SFRGT Challenge. That would be preposterous, quite frankly.
Exactly. You sound like you're truly here. I feel like preposterous is such a British word. I feel like that's just in character for tonight, as Costa slightly improves on his time again, further reinforcing that first place.
Oi, mate, you asking for my British to come out? Oh, that's Australian a little bit there.
Yeah, that was...
That's all right. Look, it's all right, as we get the Michael Caine impression rolling on here.
Oh, no. Oh, gosh. Off to a strong start, or maybe an awful start for some of us here tonight. If you don't like Mike's British accent, who even are you? You need to you need to get with the program.
If you don't like my British accent, hit that like button, everybody. And if you do, also hit that like button here on YouTube. It is free. We appreciate every one of you. Thank you all so much for being here tonight. One thing I'm noticing here, we see the likes of Rocky Rocco and the Rockefeller Racing. Now, some say that he knows 2 facts about ducks, and both of them are wrong. He's currently sitting in P5.
I'd like to hear those facts tonight. I just wasn't prepared to hear that tonight. I don't know a lot about ducks either. Rocco knows more than me, despite them being false. We hit the final moments of qualifying. A few drivers just going to go off. As you saw, that yellow on that side of Junior in that 4th place spot, not going to improve on his time, went off the track, decided, no thanks, I'm done.
We'll see if he can improve. Can Lucas improve here? Lucas absolutely flying, which I've now, by the way, I've just realized the timing you guys have not been able to see. Currently, pole position is a rapid 1:58.0, which when I say rapid, I mean holy smokes. That's pretty quick. I think my fastest lap here was in the 59s, which, that's nothing to shake a stick at, don't get me wrong, but this is quite good, and that was almost into the 57s there, just off the pace for Lucas Costa.
Yeah, seeming to find at least a 100th every lap, no matter what, always improving there, but Rivera not far off, only 8 hundredths off the pace.
Yeah, 82 thousandths
Oh, that's that.
to make it sound. No, you're right. You're also right. It's just the one sounds cooler. That's all.
Good point. Good point.
It's like saying it's like this difference between saying a half a second and 5/10. They're the same number,
80.
but 5/10 sounds way cooler, doesn't it?
That is a really good point. It does sound like a higher number, and a lot closer because you use the word thousands.
Yeah, exactly. It's 82 thousandths versus 800ths. Come on.
A lot of math analysis here tonight, which I was not expecting. However, interesting fact: Rivera does have the faster Sector 1 and Sector 3, but Costa is beating him by 4/10 in Sector 2, which I think he's got to pick up some time there to contest with the impossible, feels like, to get faster than Costa, as he's won both races, and I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a hat trick to enter the season.
Yeah, I would not put that past the likes of the Brazilian here tonight as he goes well off and into the gravel trap there. Speaking of, we got Mike Gravelle joining us here tonight. Welcome, Mike. Currently sitting in P19. He says he's going to keep the back warm for the rest of the grid.
One thing that you do have that nobody else has, that is a very pretty livery at the very least.
There's a few drivers in here. I wouldn't say nobody else. There's quite a few pretty liveries on the grid here tonight. Come on, let's not be overly reductive.
Of course, but his is definitely very pretty.
It is. I gotta say, we'll take
that away.
We'll check it out a little bit later, Mike, once we're in the actual session. Get a little closer as we see the Inception Racing. They're getting ever so close to the track limits, dancing on the edge, but just in between the lines. We'll go on board here for the rest of the lap of Ricardo Rivera. He more than likely will be setting the last lap of the night here. No, he will not. We have multiple drivers that have crossed the line, but this will be Ricardo's last lap. And is it going to be enough to dethrone Lucas Costa? 82 thousandths is the difference.
Rivera, he's going to go through these final few turns here. He's about 2/10 up on his previous lap, which would put him in pole position, but it's going to be all down to these corners here. And he does have a faster Sector 3, so I wouldn't be surprised if he takes it here and is gaining a couple tenths through these corners.
A little bit loose on exit. Was so smooth up to that point. Is this going to be what he needs here? Accelerating to the line. He didn't get the greatest exit, but now to the line. It is pole position, basically by the exact margin that he was behind. 90 thousandths now separating Lucas Costa and Ricardo Rivera.
It's absolutely incredible. Crazy small margins tonight through the top three, really, as Bandera 3/10 off that time of Rivera's. And the rest of the pack a lot closer to each other. Rocky Rocco from Rockefeller Racing, a full second behind that, but a bunch of drivers within 5/10 behind him. Definitely going to be a very close lap with, I think, different islands of close drivers tonight.
Most certainly. This is Devin Smallblock Anthony, who, well, as he's very used to that 6.2-liter Camaro engine tonight, he is piloting the 4.0 twin-turbo V8 that is the McLaren 720S Evo 2. You can see down to TC0. He's a bold man here into the final corner, not quite attacking the apex. A little bit of space. Yeah, it's looking like there is going to be no improvement here for Devin Anthony.
Yeah, that's
practices pit entry,
though. Does practice the pit entry. Not as difficult of a pit entry as other places at Silverstone, but it definitely happens because you do get some free speed before you get in.
Most certainly. That is going to do it for the qualifying. Ricardo Rivera, Lucas Costa, Joel Bandera. It's your finishing order there for 1, 2, and 3. As we wait for the session to roll on over here. Another welcome to everybody. I just wanted to say again, big thank you to our sponsor, SimStaff. And if you are curious, SimStaff is hiring and they want you. Whether you're a seasoned sim racer or just starting out, here's your chance to dive into the sim racing industry. Apply now at simstaff.net or with a link in the description, and do tell them that SFRGT sent you. But
definitely a super interesting qualifying there. Sorry, Mike.
No worries.
Very even times between Rivera and Costa. Rivera a full 2/10 faster in Sector 1 and a full 2/10 faster in Sector 3. But Luis Costa has that Sector 2 down just a little bit better. They're both within the 49s, but with 4 tenths separating between them in that sector. I mean, oh my goodness, that is as close as you can get. And the only difference was probably getting on the gas just a little bit faster in 1 to 2 turns.
Yeah, absolutely. You're 100% right. And one thing I wanted to mention is with Ricardo Rivera on pole position, you'd mentioned that he is just joining this championship. Now, there is, I think, mathematically still a chance for him to win. He's got some work to do, but of course, he's going to want that win as there is quite a lot on the line for this championship. It is, of course, a $100 prize pool that these drivers are fighting for. It's going to be $50 USD to P1, $30 to P2, and third gets 20. And at the end of the season, there will be a drawing where these drivers will have the option, or not option, will have the opportunity, we'll be doing it live on stream, to win a good couple extra bucks. I think it is a grand total of, as I double check my notes, 2 random drivers will be rewarded 20 at the end of the season. And we'll be doing that, like I said, live on, but you do have to participate in races after. There's a specific cutoff for it. I will find a little bit later because we got to hurry up.
I think you can only miss 2 rounds, so I believe you would have to be in there, is what I remember from last week, but do not quote me on that. But definitely a really good prize pool for something to just have fun on your Friday nights, and I know a lot of people love sim racing on their Friday nights, so, you know, why not have an opportunity to win some money while you're at it?
Absolutely. As we have it, though, let's get in here. We only have a minute to meet our drivers. That is, well, we're definitely going to be into the gridding, which is fine. We got a long out lap here, 3.6 miles at Silverstone with plenty of corners. But starting off in P1, it is none other than the Puerto Rican driver of Ricardo Rivera, the number 53 in the Inception Racing Machinery. Starts off at the very front. Lucas Costa lines up next to him in the LCS for the Brazilian driver, with Joel Bandera, the American, in P3. Rocky Rocket on the Rockefeller Racing Ferrari 296, the 648, in P4, with Marcos Vinicius in 5th. Miles Jr. bringing home 6th position here for race 1 tonight, with Fikri Azka, the Indonesian driver, in P7. Allure going to be bringing home P8, with Mo Hamoud behind in 9th. Rounding out our top 10, it is going to be Evelazio Silva. Behind him, Devin Anthony in the Rockefeller Racing, the 664 McLaren, with Jelson Cruise Company in 12th. Fabiano Rousseau bringing home 13th, with Pagani in P14. Marco Saldana, 15th quickest in the 111, with Luke Radacre in P16. Patrick Dubois, 17th quickest in the Rockefeller Racing Aston Martin here tonight. We have Lena Shelby in P18 for the Ferrari 296, number 296, with Michael Gravelle Company in that Gravel Trap Racing. Matt Howes in P20 in the Bentley, with Joey Raymer Company in the Nameless Racing in P21. Jay Davis, 22nd quickest in the number 8, and rounding out the back of the grid, last but not least, it is going to be Matt McDonald in the number 16 Lexus. Out of all the cars, you love to see that.
That Lexus, obviously, you know, not used often, and that is for a reason for sure. The Lexus is from 2016 with only 500 brake horsepower, which is not a lot with these modern day cars like the McLaren 720S Evo GT3, which, you know, locked out the first 3 slots with 710 brake horsepower, and it comes with a lot of things. Is that Lexus is heavier than that McLaren still.
Welcome as well to Jesus Gomez joining us, cheering on the likes of Lucas Costa tonight. If I'm not mistaken, I think you're cheering. I'm pretty sure. I'm 99% sure. But welcome, obrigado. Thank you so much for joining us. To all of our Brazilian viewers tonight. I think I had a request to turn on subtitles, and I don't think it worked. So I apologize, folks. I tried to make it work. I will, in the future, try to figure that out. I'm a little bit of a noob on YouTube streaming, so I apologize to all of our Portuguese speakers that cannot quite understand fully. Like I said, I'll be working on that in the future.
YouTube is not an easy platform to stream with, so don't really blame Mike. I would more blame the platform in senses of sometimes you turn subtitles on and they just don't turn on for a couple streams, is what I've learned. It is a very difficult platform, and it is just nightmarish to deal with personally. But kind of want to jump back to that Lexus. That is such an admirable choice for the night.
I love it. I love it. Matt McDonald. Yeah, it is McDonald. Okay, I was second guessing myself there. Yeah, but no, in the Lexus, the machinery, it is a car that I wish was competitive. It's still quite quick. It's still definitely it's not like you're driving a KTM on a field in the GT4 field. It's not quite to that level, but it's definitely not quite optimal, as most would say. We also have some love being shown for the likes of Patrick Dubois. Patrick in that Rockefeller Racing Machinery P17 for his start.
Yeah, you love to see all the support from chat. Thank you very much for tuning in and, supporting your drivers. I think that is very, very admirable for everybody involved. And, keep supporting your drivers. Keep, encouraging them to race and keep encouraging them to do so, because it is definitely a fun part when there's people cheering you on, and when you're racing, there's people watching you.
Puts the pressure on as well for these drivers to deliver.
Heck yeah, it does. I'm in a rookie series, and I still get serious pressure.
But as we have it, the drivers lined up 2x2, Noah's Ark formation as they come around the final corner. Ricardo Rivera on pole position with Lucas Costa in P2. I'm Mike Nause. In the booth, joined with me tonight is Carson Kass as we get ready to go green here tonight for Silverstone. 3.6 miles of this circuit, 30 minutes for race 1 as we approach the second line. And go green, green, green. Ricardo Rivera immediately storming away there from Lucas Costa. In the back here, we see scrambling all around as the Brazilians off the track there, that is. I think that was going to be the likes of Marcos Vinicius struggling and going backwards, as it looks like he's going to come under threat from Fikri Azka as well. Into Maggots and Beckett side by side. That's never what you want to see, but we see multiple drivers trying to make that happen.
Yeah, Silva and Vinicius struggling a little bit in last week's race, as off the track behind them goes, or ahead of them rather, goes that Porsche. Some struggling all race, and Rivera and Costa are just ran away with it immediately with that top 4.
Well, the Ferrari slipstream and the move under or before the braking zone that takes out Miles Jr. No, excuse me, that takes out Silva. And no, there's big contact into Cops. Oh, there's a big one, folks. Miles Jr. collected in that as well.
Oh my goodness, that was absolute carnage. Worse kept getting worse there, and there's an absolute pileup still on the course that Miles Jr. is about to hit into that curve, as it just keeps getting worse. Oh my goodness, another accident happened into that turn.
Well, this is going back 30 seconds. I'm not sure how much of this we're going to catch. We're on board of the Rockefeller Bentley. We see cars off, we're living. We see cars off, we're still alive. That was the flying Porsche, in case you were curious. More contact in a straight line ahead, and it's just absolute chaos. The Bentley gets clipped there, under braking, blocks the road, gets out of the way, but it's just a car park at that stage, and drivers are struggling to make it through.
Yeah, parking garage, kind of in that tight turn there. Everybody kind of just got caught, and it's one of those things that can happen, is just everybody trying to make a move at once, and it does not go well for anybody. But everybody in the top 5, or rather 4, relatively unharmed.
There are some pretty big losers, though, in terms of position. Miles Jr. currently down 17 positions with a most certainly not-so-showroom-ready Porsche on the grid. 11 positions down for Devin, 11 positions down for Evilazio, 7 for Fabiano, and 6 for Allure. In terms of our gainers, we got 7 positions for Jay, 7 positions for Patrick, and 9 positions for Lena.
Yeah, it is sad. I'm not sure they're not sister cars, as we discovered last time, but Silva and Russo, the 2 Ferraris, just got absolutely into each other, and just domino effect there. Everybody got into everyone.
They might be sister cars, actually, those 2. I'm not sure, but I think those two actually are in the Ferraris. They both had the Brazilian flags. It's an unfortunate one. It was what caused that was a slight misjudgment in terms of knowing where the car on your left was. Sending it 3 wide there was totally possible. It was not impossible at all to make that corner through Stowe 3 wide, but it is when you turn too far to the left and there's a car there.
Yeah, and then a Porsche flips, and it somehow was still driving. I think that might be the most important part, or impressive part about that, rather.
It's not driving too well. It drove straight into pit lane this lap, so it definitely felt the impact. And oh, speaking of impacts, Patrick Dubois into the back of Lena Shelby. Patrick going to be receiving a slap on the wrist for that one.
Ooh, that is just not where you want to go with that. Shelby going to lose a ton of positions as the pack is still very, very together. And it is, by the way, I believe, Silva and Vinicius who are sister cars.
Just a slight misjudgment there from Patrick. Overcooks it. Lena left to a picnic in the grass here on Silverstone. As lovely as that sounds, not when you want to be out on track in that 296. They do rejoin, though, safely and are going to be back at it in P20.
Yeah, if you're looking for any parts of cars, check that turn that they're all going through right there. There is a lot of different pieces scattered about, and Silva and Junior still in the pits. Over 3 minutes of damage for the two of them.
We'll see if they even return out. I'm sure they will, but there is obviously race 2 ahead of them. This is race 1 of 2 here tonight. This is the 30-minute race. After this will be a 45-minute race. And Silva, to add insult to injury, picks up a speeding in the pit lane with the drive-through.
Oh, that is not where you want to be. Silva leaving the pit lane now. Probably going to go right back, unfortunately. But Eller, pretty big up there now. 12 was struggling a lot in that previous Zolder race. Was towards the back of the pack, I believe, in 20th. Much better start for them.
Yeah, working the way through the field, carving it. I mean, down 4 positions as it stands, but still keeping their nose out of trouble is the biggest thing at this stage. There's a wounded Aston Martin in front of them. Pretty easy to capitalize on if Pagani makes any sort of slip up. Up at the front, Lucas Costa, not a race leader. Ricardo Rivera walking away by 1.5 seconds at the current moment. Joel Bandera behind in 3rd. Rocky Rocco in 4th with Fikri Azka, the Indonesian driver, bringing home, so far, an incredible drive. They have Mike Hamoud close behind in 6th, but Fikri has been absolutely on the ball. Hasn't had a great qualifying result in a while, or even, I think, a qualifying result, typically starting at the back of the grid. And tonight decides to qualify, and look at what it's come.
Yeah, I definitely will take 5th place, and I'm assuming Azco will qualify more. I would definitely guess for that, as good fortunes for them, but the front of the field has kind of been safe from all the accidents, because first they ran away and now they're running away from each other. Gaps increasing to everybody. Costa beating Bandera, Rivera beating Costa, and Bandera beating Rocco. It just keeps getting a little bit farther for everybody involved.
This is that battle between Allure and Pagani. Pagani on the outside here isn't able to get that power down in time, which is surprising to me. I thought they managed to make that move stick, but not able. The punchy Porsche outgunned by the Aston Martin. The British machinery on home soil under threat here from the Germans as this field has sustained bombings again. Are we going to see a dive bomb to the inside?
Yeah, Eller not really, I don't think undamaged, but going to go try on that outside line. Going to get it. Going to get stick here. Goes completely off the course, I think, but going to make that move stick. I don't know if they're going to give that position back, because that was completely off the grass, or off the course, but...
Nope, they're all valid. Surprising. I agree that looked off track, but according to the in-game stewards, but managed to keep it between the lines there, so all's fair in that overtake, and we'll be able to carry on.
Yeah, sometimes the lines are the curbs, but hey, you know what? Wasn't expecting that. Guess that is kind of just how this track goes. A lot of very forgiving track limits here, as I've noticed throughout the session.
Yeah, not quite your Coda, not quite your, what's another good example? Valencia is a good example. A little bit more forgiving, a little bit more runoff, loads of runoff, in fact. I mean, it's a, once again, World War II fighter base where there are plenty of runways and plenty of tarmac for these drivers to explore. This is Jay Davis. He's trying to explore what it's like to be in P12.
Jay Davis, again, less damaged car than the Aston Martin in front. It is wounded from the turn, or rather lap 1 battle that it sustained, and there's a lot of injured cars kind of going down. McDonald, one of the biggest capitalizers behind this pair, and Saldana behind them. Jay Davis losing a little time here to the Aston Martin.
Whoa. Joey Raymer, that is, his teammate. Jay Davis, a little bit of an off track there, loses the position to the Lexus, the number 16 up to P16. Covers the inside, though, is going to be under threat on the exit of Woodcut sweep, but I think should be able to secure it.
Yeah, no good paleontology work there from Raymer as he digs all in that dirt. Unfortunately for them, they lose that position to that Lexus, but that AMG is fast, and if he drives it well, he could get past that Lexus.
Absolutely is. You know, I'm not sure if that one hit or miss. that was a 50-50 on that one.
I'll tell you what did miss. Matt McDonald went wide there and is now going to have that AMG all over that back bumper through this fast section. As never mind, he just took that way better. The AMG as he slides makes me eat my words. Sorry, I think I just cursed him. As Raymer now going to be back on that back bumper as they hit the straight.
You can see the light bar of the Lexus, a very unfamiliar sight. Well, Joey Raymer, he wants to see that in the rearview mirror. Looks to the outside, though, is comfortable here, trying to set it up into the chicane. It's a very good opportunity. The Lexus going to go defensive, you can see. Covers the inside, but then moves to the racing line. Under braking, the 76 to the inside. It's going to turn to the out. There's a yellow flag up ahead. Under threat from the 85. That's going to be Matt Howes.
Yeah, battle going on here. Pagani ahead. Just missed the corner. Decided to just hit the grass, that it was a safer option.
Fair play to them. Joey Raymer, who was the attacker, now sort of the prey as it stands. Matt putting the pressure on in that Bentley.
And not to mention behind them, Shelby chasing them in the Ferrari. It's kind of a four-way battle for P15 right now. The Mercedes leaves it. Raymer turns the car, and immediately after I say it, Shelby's going to get that position, and the fight will go on ahead.
This is a replay of what just happened here. Let's see. 76 car, unforced error, it seemed, onto the outside curbage, and a tire into the grass, and a foot full of throttle with that AMG. Found him into the grass there, as well as the kitty litter.
You're not where you want to be. One track off the grass with, I assume, very low TC can just result in that, and it's going to happen, unfortunately. As going back to the front of the pack, Rivera carving one heck of a lead out right now.
3.1 seconds. Lucas Costa is just not able to respond to the lap times. I mean, we're seeing consistent 158s from the drivers, but Ricardo Rivera 158.1 compared to the 158.5, and our fastest lap, by the way, is quicker than our qualifying lap at a 157.7.
Some guys just show up to come race time and qualifying time, and Rivera's clearly one of them. Just joined the series, but if you keep pace up like this, you mentioned it is still statistically possible for Rivera to end up with that $50 prize.
Definitely is a chance. If not, he'll at least be in the podium running. So it's a tight battle up at the front. In fact, we can take a... Well, no, we got a battle between Patrick Dubois here. Let's stick with that. Patrick and Allure. Allure struggling a little bit as it seemed that they had a spin just not too long ago. So is that grip just a little bit loose? There's still one mandatory pit stop for both drivers here tonight. Let's see off to the left.
Dubois fighting for that inside has kind of just been all over that back bumper and getting really, really close to it for Eller. No, Dubois goes off there, slides the car 2 feet into the grass. I was going to say, I don't know why I said feet, but can definitely lose some time there behind Eller.
Got to remake that ground up, but looking at the lap times, it's going to be a struggle. We'll see. I think Allure is quicker. Currently about a half a second, so a little bit more. Why don't we go on board, though, with Ricardo Rivera for, well, let's wait. I really want to go on board with him for the Maggots and Beckett's sector, so we'll go on board with him next lap, as I really want to catch what it's like just behind the wheel of that McLaren, as he is driving pixel perfect in this race. Although he might be coming into pits soon.
Hopefully doesn't pit, so we can see that there, but definitely I think that is kind of an understatement. I think pixel perfect. I think it's wheel perfect. There's not been a wheel put wrong this entire race. Hasn't had a lap not in the 158s.
Is that true? Is that, I mean, I believe you. I don't have that statistic personally, but that would make sense. Yeah, he's just, there's terms for those drivers, of course. You have very quick drivers, you have, well, good drivers, you have just alright drivers, and then you have what Ricardo Rivera is known as, and that is an alien.
Yeah, definitely locked in tonight for the race. Oh my goodness, it is just crazy to watch him make inputs. Oh, Silva, again another accident for Silva.
From bad to worse. Let's see, what happened? Silva all on his lonesome. Into Maggots. The back end does not comply as he went a little bit too deep. Huge hit on the front end there. And that's going to result in Silva maybe having another trip down pit lane. We'll see.
Already 5 minutes of damage, then a drive-through penalty, and now Silva likely will be hitting the pits again. That is really unfortunate for that number 38 Ferrari car, now sitting in last.
Here we go. The onboard here with Ricardo Rivera, the number 53 McLaren, attacking Maggots and Beckett's here. Now this is where you can see confidence. Rides the inside curb, still flat, by the way. Down to fourth, sends it to third here at the apex. We're going to stay in third for the rest of the corner complex as we get right on the throttle now. Run that curb wide and keep the wheel as straight as you can. Run that track out there. Back climbing the gears down to Stowe. They're going to hold fifth gear in the McLaren. No, we're not. We're going to go to sixth gear. All right, it's not the old McLaren. Fair enough. Down to third. Kicks the throttle back up so early on the accelerator. Next up, the chicane into Vale. Rides the inside there. Just misses the sausage curb. Back onto the throttle. Rides the outside there again, gonna get nice and close to the sausage, but just enough to run out. Now, flat out, heading towards one of the more challenging corners, and that, I mean, it's basically just a lift of the throttle, the car wanting to keep straight as possible now into the farm sector, looking for the braking marker in the curbs. Have a back marker ahead as well. That'll be a little bit of a help, actually.
Definitely gonna get a toe as they hit that straight. And oh my goodness, I mean, watching that is just absolutely wild because it's just somebody like Rivera has so much understanding and knowledge of the car they're driving that every single wheel input is just perfect and every single wheel input has purpose, is all going to something, and very rarely makes mistakes. Obviously, as we can see here, that wheel rarely goes the other way than it needs to often.
Well, you can see here the wheel wasn't going the other way. Now that he's gotten behind the likes of Joe in front here, Jay, or yeah, I think it's Jay, he is experiencing what is known as dirty air. That is going to be, of course, the wake from the car in front when you're going through that corner as it, on the straight, pushes a big hole through the air. Well, the air now coming off the side of the car and off the back, it's forming a big old cloud where basically that's just not clean. It's the air, what is it, the airfoils are all mixed up and messed up and not able to stick to the car like the aerodynamicist had in mind. So a little bit more of a struggle for Ricardo. Now back marker's really involved, but I also think this is a battle for position ahead of him.
Definitely is. That is Saldina and Davis. Is, by the way, during that...
That's Raymer and Howes, actually. Whoa, and Howes is deep!
Way deep there. As during that, Lucas Costa went to the pits.
Ricardo Rivera, by the way, is very unhappy with Joey Raymer's car body language through those few corners, or at least you could read off of Ricardo Rivera's car body language. He wasn't too happy with the movements there of Joey. There was nothing that Joey did wrong there necessarily. Blue flags, of course, are not like the Formula One rule. They're not, you do not have to move over within 2 marshal posts. It is just allowing you to know that there is a car behind and that you need to not impede them.
Yeah, and that can be difficult, especially through a technical section like that, where the fastest line, there's only one car, kind of, that's going to be on it. And Raymer wanted it. Raymer is still fighting for position and has every right to take that line. And Rivera obviously does not want to get held up at all, as they're going to need to pit soon, and the undercut from Costa might come get them.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a stretch. I still think Ricardo has this locked down. Even with this lap, let's see. So Ricardo Rivera, he got held up for what would presumably be about maybe half a second. Let's see. as he comes to the line here, he's still going to be more than likely in the 158s. So let's take a look to the line here. 159. Oh, amateur there from Ricardo Rivera. 159.3.
I can't put a 2-minute down on this track, guys. Just for reference, if you are not too familiar with sim racing, what Ricardo Rivera is doing, and I know we've been saying it so much, is incredible with how fast these lap times are.
The masterclass. A little bit further back, not so much. We've seen some mistakes from the back here, but we also are seeing some pit lanes, and that would, I mean, I know there's no pit lane infringement rule here, as woof. Allure saw an opportunity there as Radiker takes a very slow entry into pit lane. That almost gave the opportunity for a little Sebastian Vettel-esque moves, but not quite.
Yeah, overtaking in the pit lane is probably the most scary thing I've ever seen people do, but you know what? Nobody got hurt there. Eller saw the move, tried to take it, and, you know, I respect that.
I do the same thing, 100%. Practice your pit entries, get better at it. Don't be slow in.
True.
It's as simple as that.
Don't go too fast. I would.
Well, there's that too, but like I say, practice your pit entry and you won't have that problem, so. Just your friendly reminder there, everybody.
That is true. That is the Mike Nause special. Practice your pit entries, or else. Or else.
Or else, yes. Or else you're going to get a stop go 30 or get overtaken into pit lane, so just make sure it's good.
Yeah, just don't get a penalty. I feel like getting overtaken into pit lane is recoverable, but a stop and go penalty with 10 minutes left, you know, less recoverable.
In case anyone was curious, this is what it's like on board the Lexus. Driving that Toyota around the track. And speaking of penalties, Patrick Dubois, he's going to pick up a speeding in the pit lane penalty as well. Drive-through.
Did Patrick Dubois? I feel like Dubois got one last week at Zolder too.
Sounds like somebody needs to practice the pit entries, everyone.
If you know Dubois personally, reach out. Make sure they're practicing their pit entries. Because 2 weeks in a row is fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on you.
Yeah, I still, like I say, just the amount of time these drivers practice in racecraft and on track, you shouldn't be making schoolboy errors like that. This is Ricardo Rivera struggling to get by a battle on track. Fabiano Rousseau and Lena Shelby.
Yeah, that is a battle for position. Ricardo Rivera is going to kindly go, excuse me, please, to the two Ferraris battling in front of him.
Not sure how kindly Ricardo Rivera is going to take. We'll see. He's been a bit aggressive, but there we see a kind move, actually. That might have been too kind of a move from Shelby. Is that going to allow the opportunity of Rousseau to go on the outside here? No, they get lucky on that one. That could have been, well, I mean, like I say, you understand it because you want to get rid of the likes of a driver that potentially wants to take you out in a corner because you're too slow compared to them. Ricardo Rivera, not saying he would do that, but it feels like it when the drivers are behind you. But this just allows Lena to focus on the game at hand here with the likes of Fabiano Rousseau and the SOT.
Yeah, Lena Shelby looked like they were going to try and go back to that racing line in that initial turn. I think that's why they saved the position. I say that is coming down the inside is Fabiano Rousseau. We go almost completely off track there. Not going to make the overtake, but there was a slight move that just kept Rousseau behind in that turn where they allowed Rivera to overtake.
It's a good look. It's definitely an opportunity there if you can make it fully alongside, but turning to the outside is tough. You got to be far enough along to box them out at the entry of the next corner, not allowing them to run wide, so they got to bleed that speed, and you can accelerate out. It's tricky to make happen, if that made any sense at all.
Yeah, both cars run wide there. Is Lena Shelby going to look like they get the better run through this, kind of increasing that gap ever so slightly. Through the beginning section here is, ooh, way deep for the Ferrari behind Rousseau. Way off track there.
Potentially using one of their speed tokens. Behind that, Joey Raymer and Patrick Dubois. They're having a little bout as Patrick has served his drive-through penalty. Joey seems to make easy work, but is that going to be for long? Faster lap belongs to Joey Raymer. ahead there also, or rather Fabiano Russo still at it.
Dubois gonna run right behind them in the chicane. Definitely gonna be hard for Dubois. Been a rough race so far. I'm not sure it's gonna get any better, and I think Raymer's just gonna make the stick as another penalty. House, who I think I watched smash into a wall trying to not get this penalty.
Oh no.
If I stand corrected. Still got it, and I assume got damaged because that was not a light hit that they took going into pit entry.
You hate to see it. That is going to be devastating at the very end of the race. 6 minutes and 43 seconds left to go. Fabiano Russo finally finds some light here, but is it going to be enough? It's the inside, or rather the outside line for the first part of the corner. It's going to turn to the in for the second. He needs to be confident late on the brakes. He's not.
Yeah, Shelby there, just the faster car, or didn't want to go too aggressive. Maybe waiting for later laps. Maybe Shelby's not sure they can, or rather Russo's not sure they can stay ahead of Shelby or something like that. What was going on there? Matt McDonald turned back up top.
This is a replay. Let's find out what happened here. Matt McDonald went wide onto the throttle, loses it, and clatters the wall. Yep, well, fair enough. That's a pretty easy thing to do in that final corner.
Yeah, this is not an easy track by any means. It is not very fun. Safe re-entry, even though it was a little scary from our perspective, as the battle continues. Off screen, it was an attempt for the for that spot from Russo. Again, just wasn't too aggressive with it, and was kind of just letting Russo, or rather, kind of just letting Shelby get away with it when they could be far more aggressive into some of these turns. And I think potentially they will, as they check that outside line, go back to the, or rather to the outside line.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one to make work.
Ugh.
You go onto the outside there. There's some marbles on the outside, which don't really allow you to get the proper exit. And it makes it really tricky. Big Send, that's a little bit too deep from the SOT. Going to lose exit speed there and potentially come under threat. No, that's a back marker, thankfully, in that Porsche. Or a front marker, rather. I think that is Mo. No, Mo Hamoud's in the pits.
Yeah,
he's in the
pits.
That is Junior.
That is Junior. The car that did the, I don't even know how to describe it other than the Cars 1 King crash in the beginning of the race, which was tragedy, and was in the pits for a very long time.
His car got jacked up, and they were trying to inspect the underside of that Porsche at one point. Oh, and speaking of jacked up, that is a rear end, and unfortunately you can see that Fabiano immediately recognized his mistake. He stopped, felt bad about that. Lena Shelby gets high-centered on the curb a little bit. I think pretty easy to chalk that one up there to Fabiano, unfortunately. And Lena, unlucky in this race. That's the second incident in which I think that they've been tapped and had not really much of any control of the outcome.
Yeah, it has been a rough first 30 for these drivers here at Silverstone, especially for Shelby, I believe, again involved in that lap 1 incident. And, you know, just not a clean race, everything accounted for, and it just sucks for some of these drivers because you have a fast pace, you feel like you have a fast car, and things like that are going to happen.
Still an opportunity, though, to make up some points here in race 2, the 45-minute race ahead of us in the next 4 minutes. When the race ends, we'll be heading on over to qualifying again, and then there will be another race. But as it stands, Lena Shelby currently, I think, is actually new to the championship, so doesn't have any points on the board. Yep, this is their first race, so still able to get into that top 10. Now, of course, what do you get for being in the top 10? Well, you get a nice little discount on your Coach Dave Delta. Of course, definitely want to check out Coach Dave Delta if you haven't. Link in the description if you are interested. You can find out all sorts of information. It's not necessarily telemetry, but it is telemetry in a way. It displays your lap times, your data in a spreadsheet manner. It's very easy to read, very user-friendly, as well as some setups brought to you by Jardier. Jardier, actually, if you want his setups, head on over there, Coach Dave Delta, and sign up, like I say, with a link in the description.
Yeah, during that ad read, Russo just went deep into the corner that they've been going deep into all night. As ahead of them, the battle goes on between Dubois and that Raymer car.
That's Rousseau behind, though. Definitely don't count out the SOT driver. Very experienced and just off the ball here tonight. I think Silverstone not quite everyone's favorite track, which I don't understand. It's my favorite track, so why isn't it everyone's favorite track? But No, just some people not quite gelling with it. Here's a nice little scrap for P6, though. Mohamed on fresh tires compared to Jelson Cruz, who's on 30-minute-old rubber. What does he have here? It's Porsche on Porsche violence.
As he's on the other side, Hamoud going to try and flip it. Going to try and flip it again. Too many moves. Going to slow down slightly into that corner. Cruz going to get an opportunity to get away in that 10 HSR car. Really not a great move there, but definitely going to have an opportunity. Their tires are so much fresher than this Porsche ahead.
It's one thing to catch. It's another thing to overtake, though. And that is the goal here. Running out of time as well to overtake. It is going to be the white flag once they reach the line.
Yeah, final lap coming up momentarily once Rivera crosses that line. They've got 13 so far in this 30-minute period. Obviously a very long track. Hamoud, though, going to try and catch Cruz. Somebody went off behind them, I think. Yep. Azka seems to have missed the zone and dropped from 1 second behind that group to 2.
Azka doesn't have too much to sweat right now. I think it's going to be fairly comfortable with that P8. Nothing to shake a stick at all in terms of points. Numbers and 15.5 seconds, by the way, to allure behind, so no danger whatsoever of dropping that position, barring catastrophe, which, knock on wood, we have seen from the past from the Indonesian driver. They can spin at certain times, which I think they'll be the first one to admit that, Fikri.
Definitely not a great trait to have, but Fikri, very good driver either way. As Rivera, 3.5 seconds ahead now as they leave the pit lane. This will be the final lap. Luis Costa, though, did set the fastest lap a few laps ago. 1:57.610. Oh my goodness, that is rapid.
Well, Lucas not able to win the race here tonight, but he says, you know what, Ricardo, in race 2, I'm coming for you. Look at this. Mohamed onto the gravel, onto the outside, trying to go left, trying to go right, find any which way he can. That's not going to help him out, though. Especially there on the exit. Gets a good launch, though, to the outside. Boxed out. I sense some contact coming up here. Into the corner. No, both drivers fair. And Hamoud backs out.
Hamoud backs out there. Little contact from Cruz. Definitely don't want to get caught in that section there, as I think they're going to cross the line here. And
wrong line.
Oh, wrong line. My bad. Hamoud are going to dive into this other turn, T1 if you are in an F1 series, not T1 for us. Yeah, just can't seem to find a move, can't seem to find their way in.
You know who can find their way in, though? Ricardo Rivera. He finds his way into the race win here tonight. The number 53 wins by 3.5 seconds. Dominance for the Puerto Rican. Brazilian driver comes home in second, and the American finishes where he started in third.
Going to jump back to this Hamoud Cruz race. Hamoud around the outside, or rather, yeah, around down the inside. He's going to make a move with forcing Cruz to the outside by taking enough space. That is a good move. Despite having fresher tires, it's still so difficult with fighting a car in equal machinery as they come to the line, and it looks like that will be the final position for Hamoud and Cruz as they switch spots before they get the checker. Oh my gosh.
The tire choice pays off for Hamoud. It was a gamble. I'm not sure. It was actually a gamble that maybe even didn't pay off. I think he could have finished ahead of Marcos Vinicius if he didn't take tires. 30 minutes, it's difficult to make that choice. Now, obviously, in the 45-minute race, I still honestly think tires aren't necessary. We'll see if the drivers do decide it. It might help. Silverstone is just, it's a very flat track. There isn't particularly too much wear. Looking at the Celsius, it's actually a 30-degree track temp, so it's cooking out there in terms of England. It rarely gets that warm here. And
it's overcast, which is leading me to wonder, how is it 30 degrees?
That is kind of insane, actually. That's some very interesting English weather, and I'm sure the Brits would love that right now.
Yeah, I'm under impression it is cold there, it is cold here. Cold and rainy everywhere, it feels like. But not cold and rainy for Rivera. That is a good race win for them.
Dominance, once again, for the Puerto Rican. We have a little bit of a break before we get on to the, next race, or the next qualifying, I should say, as we have it. A little bit of an intermission. Lena Shelby, unlucky. Again, unlucky for that driver. But I'm sure they will be able to work from it. We'll go back here to the B-roll of the track as we wait for the session to head on over. Once again, big thank you to everyone joining us here tonight. Carson,
Make sure
in terms of... Oh, go ahead. Or in terms of this race, what are we looking for in highlights? I will say, we had Lucas Costa obviously not able to come out of it, but what was the outlook on that race? I loved the battling that we had in the mid-pack.
Yeah, despite a not-so-close front pack, the middle pack and the back pack were very, very close to each other, and there was a lot of battling, almost always a battle going on in these 30 minutes, and I definitely think a highlight. You don't see cars flip that much, and you definitely don't see cars drive to the pits themselves that much. That is definitely a highlight in terms of just sheer willpower from Junior, who did not, I believe, end up finishing last. Finished ahead of Howes and Silva, which is pretty impressive to start your race on the top of your car and finish it not last.
Yeah, most certainly. As we have it, and as these drivers do get ready to head on into the next session, we are going to take a little bit of a break. So we will be back momentarily. Welcome back, everybody. Hope you all enjoyed that previous race. Ricardo Rivera taking the win over Lucas Costa by just over 3.5 seconds. And Joel Bandera coming up short in third, but a result that I'm sure he's happy with nonetheless. As we get ready, we're going to be moving on into the next qualifying session here. And as we have it, Carson, we got some cars out on track and lapping already.
Yeah, no one's really set a time yet, except Vinicius, who just set a 58, and Shelby, who I think just set a 2 minutes, 2 seconds. And all these cars are going to hit the line really quick. We'll take a moment before we really analyze times. They're not going to come through in a big motion until we get there in a second, but definitely a lot of these guys are going to want to improve on qualifying times. And I can already tell Vinicius did. That is the best time Vinicius has had all night in that car.
Absolutely. Vinicius still with some time on the board, though, at a 58.9. We were seeing a 58.0 at the end of last qualifying. Track temp, a little bit cooler, so you may actually see a little bit quicker times. And, well, there you go. Lucas Costa, as if on cue, sets a 57.5, a barnstormer of a lap.
Yeah, that is not that. Wow. That is, by the way, the fastest lap. Oh my gosh. You know what? Of course, I should never say anything. Because immediately, Rivera sets an even faster lap than that. That's the faster lap we've seen all night. Bandera goes the other side, but Rivera, 1:57.392. That is the fastest lap. A lap to beat.
I think we're going to see this back and forth a few times tonight. Ricardo is on an invalid lap currently, so staying out there, Lucas Costa decided to go back into pit lane and make some setup changes. He says, I got a little bit more pace in here. Just got to change a thing or two, tweak your ride height, tweak your tire pressures, whatever you need to change to make that little bit of a difference to get to the end here in P1.
Yeah, I mean, those setups are crucial. You're going to see some guys take the option of, you know what, I have more pace in the car I'm running, or I know this car has more pace if I have to change a few things. But definitely a mixture of strategies, and it'll just kind of come down to wherever everybody wants their car. And Rivera, obviously, I'm sure likes where that car is right now.
Yeah, he seems very comfortable with it, both Rivera and Costa. The McLaren has just been absolutely dominant on Silverstone for, well, quite a long time, to be completely honest. So as it continues that trend here tonight, as it stands, I think in terms of BOP, let me double check. I think we are not using BOP here tonight. So using the base game, that would explain it.
Yeah. How about you give us a little bit of description of what BOP is and why it would make so much of a difference if we were running that tonight?
Yeah, so basically balance of performance. BOP is the why these cars can race together, why you're able to have a Porsche 911 race alongside a Ferrari 296, because let's be real, on the street, the 296 is going to win 10 out of 10 times, unless you ask certain people, but that's beside the point. In terms of how they make these cars all even, how a Bentley can be, once again, as quick as a BMW, is weight, throttle mapping, the amount of fuel that they allow to go into the cylinders, the amount of air those cars are allowed to intake. There's a lot of different variables that they can tweak and change, but mostly weight is the main one that you hear in terms of ballast. I'm sure that's a term that you may have heard in the past chat, but ballast being the extra few kilograms. I know the McLaren, I think in the LFM BOP in the previous version, added 45 kilograms of weight to the McLaren in Silverstone. No, at Spa. So,
oh my.
The McLaren it's pretty quick in a straight line.
For my Imperial American friends, that is 100 pounds, just about. Just under, technically. I think it's like a 99.9, but it is an 100-pound difference, and that is a very big difference in terms of ballast.
Let's multiply it by 2.2. And for anyone curious, come on, you got to make chat do their own math.
See, I didn't even do my own math. I quickly threw up Google, actually, and I just wrote 45 kg in LBS, so it is 2.2 or 2.205 technically.
Sure, whatever, 2.2. Just two. A way I do it is I multiply it by 2 and then add a little bit, and I'm close enough most of the time. So
That's the way you should take life, I feel like sometimes, definitely in a situation like this. But Rivera, on an even faster lap, has a delta of 0.2 faster than that 157.392 they've already got.
Yeah, and he's coming around the final corner right now. Let's see. Can he keep it valid? Pushes all the way to the line there, loses a 10th in doing so, but should get a pretty good exit. Still not quite into the 56s, but as he comes to the line, it is an improvement, but only just a little bit.
Yeah, Costa went off track. Could be one more lap for him, as he just invalidated his lap, missed a corner there, I believe, and it is just not a great section for them. But Costa going to have one more opportunity, I think, here, too. Or actually, no, it's going to be two more. Two more opportunities, I believe, to come and claim this lead. Three, it's three. Guys,
no, two.
Is it two?
The two solid ones. Realistically, Lucas is only going to use two of them. But yes, technically, Lucas could have 3 attempts here if he would like, but I do not think we're going to be seeing all 3 attempts from Lucas, as those tires are going to, well, he's used them a bit, and they're only going to get worse as time goes on, so he wants to set that fast lap sooner rather than later.
That is the story of racing. You do want to get there sooner rather than later. Is kind of the general consensus.
Let's see, we have the Indonesian driver in P11 currently. Looking to set a decent time again. Coming down the back hanger straight, or excuse me, the Wellington. And
It's
into...
also a steak.
It is a steak, you're right. But the Wellington straight, in this case, not the Wellington steak, comes around the final few corners here, through Luffield into Woodcut sweep, into the line. What are we going to see in terms of improvement here? It's a P9.
Improvement. Rocky Rocco from Rockefeller Racing, right? Yeah, Rocky Rocco from Rockefeller Racing. Currently in 6th, running a little bit of a faster lap, about a 10th now through that section. 3/10 now, I eat my words. But definitely a faster lap that could put him in P5 or P4, depending on how much improvement he gets.
Coming down to Sir Lewis Hamilton straight. Whoa, hot into the right-hander there, and that's way too deep.
4 tires on the grass there. That is not where you want the car, because that's going to bring wear to the car, and you know your lap on qualifying gets invalidated. Not where you want to be with that.
A little hot through Abbey, but able to carry on. We'll be able to set another lap. That's the crucial thing there. Here we see Joel Bandera in that similar spot, heading up towards Abbey. Gets a much better rotation in the car. You can already see the car complying as he turns in the front end, doing exactly what he asks. But
Not to take away focus from this great driving. Ooh. Is that a Beatles reference? Is Abbey Road a real place, guys? I do not know anything about the UK.
yes, it is a road.
I did not know that.
Now I'm not sure Abbey is named after that, but that's it's a good point. Now I've never really put 2 and 2 together like that, to be completely honest.
It is a fairly historic part of the culture there, but I don't know how it would revolve around racing.
Well, I don't
Maybe
know if
there's
that
a
corner
Beatle.
was named before the Beatles even existed. That's the other.
That's a
but
that's
I
a
don't
good
know.
point.
To the line, Joel Bandera, P3, where he finished the previous race.
Yeah, definitely some research I got to do off stream, but interesting.
Quizzing me about a track that I love, and I should know these statistics, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Can't know them all.
Quiz me about Coda. I know too much, unfortunately. Avid Coda hater. I don't really know what's my favorite track.
Yeah, Abbey Curve has existed since 1948. Now, I'm pretty sure the Beatles made their reign in the 60s.
That is true. But I'm curious to know what it is named after. Now, I assume that is somebody with more... Somebody's name that also Abbey Road shares, potentially, but very interesting.
You might be thinking into this one a little bit too hard, Carson. I'm not sure. Maybe the Beatles named their song, or maybe they named their album after this track. Have you ever thought about that?
I don't think the Beatles watched a lot of racing, unfortunately.
Didn't they go to a Formula One race, though? Hold up, though. Isn't that...
I don't...
Now,
this is the wrong guy to
curious.
ask, unfortunately. Anyway, I'm board with Lucas Costa. Had a good lap going, is unfortunately losing some time here, but definitely has some time to make up throughout this straight. We drop down now to this right-hander where there is a ton of people jam-packed. It won't impede on Lucas Costa's time. Loses the car there.
I think he just was dissatisfied with his lap and just pulled off to the side.
Yeah, well, loses the car there. Loses it intentionally, I guess. Takes a left turn when it should be a right, and I don't really know why. That was not a half bad lap at all. He was also only down to 22 thousandths.
I have an update on the Beatles and the likes of motor racing. George Harrison was a massive Formula One fan. So, there you go.
So much that he went back in time?
He might have gone, you never know. But now that we've used that topic up beyond the belief, qualifying is now over. Marcos Vinicius, can he respond here? He only needs to find 2.5 tenths. Well, to find the top 3. Lucas Costa, 23 thousandths off the time of Ricardo Rivera, only just behind. Now, can Marcos Vinicius get it? Few more corners to go. Well, no, he's in the middle of the track, my bad. Just out of Maggots and Beckett's. He's got a ways to go.
Yeah, car's still a rocket, though. Got a lot of time out of Maggots and Beckett's that they did not have initially. 4 tenths as they hit this corner, losing some. Not as fast as they were.
Now into Vale. Nice and tidy. Not too much of any issue through there. The Ferrari looking awfully planted.
Yeah, Vinicius. You go. I apologize.
Down the Sir Lewis Hamilton straight. The final car on track. All eyes are on Marcos Vinicius at this stage. This is when the pressure's really on.
This is a great lap. 7 tenths so far. Keeps getting higher. Hopefully it can stay higher. He was involved in that initial turn 1 accident, or initial lap 1 accident in the first race. Brought him down to 8th. Car was still a rocket.
Let's see, Marcos Vinicius didn't have the race that he was looking for last time. Finished P5 in the number 17 here. Tilts it into the final corner complex. Maybe a little bit slow in on entry. In fact, he's bled, I think, 6 tenths in this Sector 3 alone. Gets back on the throttle. He's going to be very disappointed with himself on that Sector 3. Comes to the line, and it's going to be no improvement.
Yeah, technically an improvement there, but not enough for a position. As that is a rough way to go for Vinicius. Vinicius. I feel like it's Vinicius.
I think it is.
I trust my gut now. Because I said Vinicius, and I just that sounded like an adjective, and I don't know.
He is Brazilian. I think it is Vinicius. I haven't been corrected otherwise, so we'll roll with that.
If you do know, hit the chat right now. Help us with our pronunciation. A lot of Brazilian drivers in the top half of this championship. They do tend to dominate in this SRT race series,
SFR,
I've noticed.
GT Challenge.
SFR.
Yeah, so the SFR GT Challenge, it is, I gotta say, we have had a quite dominant Brazilian field. Of course, our previous champion being the not Marcos Vinicius, but Vinicius Doozy, the 13-year-old golden boy, as he was called, won the championship dominantly last time around, last year, in fact. And not in this championship this time, unfortunately. But hopefully we see him back at some stage. I'd love to. The young Brazilian with loads of talent, the SOT driver. We still have a few of the SOT team in this league.
Oh, is he actually 13? I've heard a lot of people.
That one was, yes, he actually is 13, unlike the Jacob Wells, the 13-year-old Twitch streamer on, yes, that is, he is actually 13.
Yeah, I did not realize that, but that is super cool. Talent here, definitely plentiful, and there's a reason for it, and you can obviously see it. Rivera and Lucas Costa dueling like LeBron and Curry. It's the best way I can describe it for a non-sim racing fan.
It's a good analogy. I like it. As we have it, the grid is getting ready here. We will get you guys in this action here soon enough. And let's get in here and let's meet our drivers. We have it. Starting off here in P1. It's once again Ricardo Rivera, and the Puerto Rican iRacing member here, lined up on the front row in the McLaren Evo 2. It's a McLaren front row lockout on the British home soil. Lucas Costa, the Brazilian, in P2 for the number 90 driver, with Joel Bandera in P3. Marcos Vinicius, fourth quickest, with Jelson Cruz Company in P5 for the 777. We have Lure in the 448, number in P6, with the Porsche, the second Porsche here on the grid tonight, with Fikri Azka, the Indonesian driver, Company in P7. Rocky Rocco and the Rockefeller Racing 647 Ferrari, lined up in P8, with Miles Jr. in 9th. Mohamed rounds out our top 10 in the number 5 car, with Devin Anthony in P11, the number 664. Fabiano Rousseau going to be in P12 for the number 78, with Evalazio Silva in P13. 14th quickest belongs to Marco Saldana in the 1111 Rockefeller Racing Bentley, with Patrick Dubois in P14 for the number 87. Pagani bringing home 15th in the number 44, with Luke Radiker in P16 for the number 6. Michael Gravelle, 17th quickest for the number 30 Gravel Trap Racing, the Canadian driver, with Matt Howes in P18. Lined up next to them is going to be Lena Shelby in the 19 car, in the number 296 for P19. Joey Raymer rounds out our top 20 in the Nameless Racing. Jay Davis, the sister car in the Nameless, in P21 for the BMW. And last on the grid here, but certainly not least, once again, it is Matt McDonald in that number 16 Lexus. The gridding complete. Ricardo Rivera has taken off here at the beginning. And we have once again here the calm before the storm. 3.6 miles here is the outlap at Silverstone. The driver's underway and ready to take it.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see how lap 1 goes here. Obviously, it's just kind of, you would think here at Las Vegas with how much of a gamble it was for a lot of these drivers, and just getting dealt a bad hand off the start, losing your positions, and just especially for Junior, who's now sitting 8th. I mean, that race was ended because of that first lap, and it's obviously down to just whatever you're dealing with. And I'm really, really interested to see if this is way cleaner or much like a race 1.
It is going to be the comeback opportunity here for the Brazilian driver, Miles Jr., looking to show what he has for us tonight. Now, before we get on that, this race, of course, brought to you by SimStaff. Now, SimStaff is the global arbiter in terms of sim racing. Do head on over to the description, simstaff.net. They're hiring, looking for stewards, as well as plenty of other opportunities, running races, as well as just heading on to really cool events. Head on over down in the description to simstaff.net, and do tell them that SFRGT sent you.
Yeah, checking out those links really supports the organization that you are watching us broadcast. And the more support you get into it, I think the more you get out of the races. It attracts more drivers, it attracts more just everybody, and the better competition you have, the bigger packs you have, the more racing you get to watch, and the more entertaining racing you get to watch.
Absolutely. Helps us out tremendously. And while you're down there, do hit that like button and that subscribe so you don't miss a beat here at SFRGT, where we cover the Friday night leagues here.
Yeah, we've become regulars, kind of, on this section here, as Rivera just parks the car, it looks like, on that straightaway, trying to heat up those tires.
Yeah, not much movement around the track. Temp 23 degrees, surprising. We'll see. That's going to be a bit of a change. Now, we had the 30-degree track temp in a race. We had 28 in quali. There's a big difference. Let's see if the drivers can manage to get the proper temperature into those tires, make sure they don't overheat, or rather overinflate them or underinflate them. You don't want to be driving around on balloons, and you don't want to be driving around on deflated balloons either.
Yeah, it is sunny out right now, by the way, and it is 7 degrees Celsius colder than it was in Overcast. I don't know about that, but it's, despite the realism of our weather here in the UK, definitely down for a good race, and the variation in track temperature definitely makes that much more of a good race as these drivers, very talented, try and manage those balloons.
We'll see, or can they keep them, rather, not balloons? That's the goal.
Yeah.
It's to keep them from turning into those, is driving around on balloons. Well, nobody can manage that, let's be real. It doesn't matter how talented you are. You can manage it to a certain extent, but you're still going to be losing time. And that is the crucial thing. Yeah, sunny day here in England, Northamptonshire. But it's so chaotic when all the drivers pile up. I love it.
It's frightening almost. Like I know it's about to happen. I know something is going to go awry in only a few corners.
Nonetheless, the drivers coming around the final corner now. Carter Rivera on pole position for the number 53, Lucas Costa, the number 90 in P2. This race brought to you by SimStaff and Coach Dave Academy. Thanks to them. I'm Mike Nause in the booth. Joined with me tonight is Carson Kass. As we get ready to go green here tonight, we'll approach the first flag, go right by it, and head to the board here as Ricardo Rivera dialed in as ever. And we go green, 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 and once again Ricardo focused on the start, and he gets it again. The whole shot is his. Behind that, Joel Bandera caught sleeping at the wheel. Marcos Vinicius makes easy work of him. Fikri Yazka up a couple positions as well, with Miles Jr. trying to make up ground behind. Allure doing what he can into Maggots and Beckett's, though. It's going to be the nip and tuck action that we expect, but we're almost 3 wide heading into Maggots and Beckett's behind.
Yeah, that's a frightening sight, and surprised it went as well as it did. Nobody got absolutely pummeled just yet. I don't want to speak too early on that, but Rivera and Costa battling initially up front. Now Rivera has a bit more of a lead.
As we head down towards Stowe, the slipstream for Luke Radacre. Down the inside here. No, he thinks better of it. The Bentley behind trying to come from nowhere. Can't make anything either. Up at the front, Lucas Costa still chasing Rivera. Behind that, we see changing of positions as Allure gets by Miles Jr. with a lovely send.
A really good move there for that Porsche into, I believe it's slot or P8. And it is just absolute pandemonium up front. Oh my goodness.
Looking clean, though, so far. As we go through Abby, Mohamoud, I think, was side by side with Devin Anthony. Devin Anthony up in P9, to be fair. Looking very solid for the likes of the Rockefeller Racing driver. Finds himself maybe in a bit higher of a position than he expected. Whoa, let's not speak too soon.
Really good start for Rocco there. Definitely what they were hoping here, as on that outside, Rocco was getting hawked, or rather, never mind. That was the wrong thing. I was looking at something else, guys. Don't worry about it.
Devin Anthony under threat. Goes defensive, manages to hold off Hamoud for now. I gotta say, though, Devin's looking a bit punchy on the throttle, the car a bit wiggly when he does so. He needs to keep the car between the mayo and the mustard if he wants any chance of holding on to Mohamoud.
Yeah, Mohamoud sniffing that back bumper like a dog in peanut butter. He wants it very badly, and he's going to have an opportunity through here if Anthony keeps that foot kind of incorrectly on the throttle, and Hamoud just going to have a better opportunity if he keeps making that mistake, keeping that car wobbly.
So far, so good. He's dialed it back so far. Goes a little bit off track. That's neither here nor there. Just going to be using one of those speed tokens. Slow, though, into Beckett's. Now, that's going to maybe allow him for a better exit. We'll see. The Porsche, though, might be hot on his tail here as we head on into Cops. Bit of a gap, half a second. So, I take that back. The McLaren is just that quick.
Yeah, that is frightening how fast it is sometimes, but definitely going to give it a little bit of a bailout there from excellent machinery Anthony is driving behind.
Mo super confident onto the brakes. You can see he has the ability, he just doesn't have the opportunity that he's looking for. Now behind him is Silva. Silva trying to find an equal opportunity as he currently has made up 2 positions from P13 up into 11th. Trying to change that, make it a few more.
Yeah, behind them, Silva, rough race in the first one. Didn't get turned, obviously, on lap 1 this time. And is going to have a better opportunity to get maybe a little higher than 8th, which I believe they finished last time in.
Going to be trying to do so. And actually, Fikriazka finished in 8th last time around. In terms of Silva had a grisly P23 finish last time.
Oh, I got them. Sorry, I got him and I believe the sister car confused there. No, that is a much better race for Silva.
Yeah, you're thinking of Vinicius. Yeah, that makes sense because Silva, yeah, not the greatest race. Had multiple penalties and just a race to forget last time around for him. But his sister car up in P3 on the podium as it stands.
Yeah, I assume there was way less aggression there because 45 minutes is an extra 15 than 30 minutes, obviously. But
thanks, Carson.
I had a little bit of a moment. I forgot what I was going to say. I tried to stall, and then I didn't remember what I was going to say. But now I remember what I was going to say. Obviously, with what an absolute travesty lap one was last time, I'm sure there's some extra caution going into where's that car on the left side of me. I don't want to plow into that car on the left side of me because it's going to end up with me with full 3 minutes of damage.
Oh no, and we have an update from Jelson Cruz. Power went out, unfortunately. Now, I think you were running up in the top 10 as well, so you really hate to see that. Carson can relate with that one all too well.
I was going to say that. Chicago weather, not nice to me either. I totally understand that. Hopefully, it turns back on. Maybe you can jump in and just get some laps for practice, despite being down a few at the end of this.
Mohamed, can he get the job done on a Devin Anthony? Not yet. Still. One thing to catch, it's another thing to overtake. Mo has the pace, that's clear. But he just isn't able to make it by.
Towards the back, there's a bunch of battling. Everybody trying to get out of that final position. Definitely very close knit here. Raymer just tried to overtake Shelby. Lost it on that other side. Raymer going to go for the inside. Is now Anthony getting chased by Silva on the outside line. They might go 3 wide. Anthony going to back off. Not going to have really an opportunity to go anywhere. It's going to be 2 wide. No. Silva. Ooh.
Oh, no, man. This every single time. As soon as I switched off of this battle, the overtake happened. And as soon as I switch off of this battle, they crash. I just can't win.
We definitely got one overtake at the very least. Very least got one.
Oh, the Bentley straightens Mike out there. That's Mike Gravelle, as I think the Bentley just slightly misjudged where the nose of that car was. And, well, 3 cars involved in that collision. You absolutely hate to see that. And as it stands up ahead, Silva, Ivalazio, now ahead of Devin Anthony as well as Mohamed. Devin dropped 2 positions.
Yeah, that was a good move, and Anthony really couldn't do much there. Just an awful position. But that Porsche does go off. It's going to allow everybody to kind of get back into this battle, and that Porsche's not going to get away just yet. Silva has a thing or two to say about that.
Ivalazio looks to the inside, doesn't do anything though. Trying to get a better exit now, maybe force himself to the inside for the Veil. He's going to do so, but he's a bit too far behind. That's a defensive line, rather, for the likes of Ivalazio. Behind that, Devin Anthony. I think Devin at this point just sort of needs to chill. He's definitely struggling in that McLaren. Last lap was a 2:01.5 compared to the 2-minute dead from these 2 drivers. He needs to find his rhythm, find his groove, as so does Silva, and what a save!
Wow. I mean, almost the whole car went sideways there. Not awesome. Silva, great line. Going to get real close to that Porsche. Porsches are going to get a little bit of a better exit, though. Not too important, though, in that specific corner, but what a save from Silva. We're going to be on board to see it. Wheel goes the absolute other way.
It doesn't It doesn't look as impressive on board as it did off board, I won't lie, but that, trust me, that is a save and a half. Very easy for that 296 especially to snap the rear end. It's a mid-engine car that tends to like to carry the weight of that engine through the corner and will typically end up in a pirouette. A bit of a tail wagging the dog sort of scenario, but thankfully that isn't the case this time.
Yeah, it's a rough car to handle, and Silva obviously lots of experience in it, immediately corrects it, and keeps that position and keeps themselves out of another accident. It's just been kind of rough for them so far, as 2 Porsches now hawking each other down for the 6th position.
They're pushing, too. You can see that. Both drivers in the 159s. Looks like Allura might be overdriving that Porsche. We'll see. As they go down the hangar straight, the slipstream will be had for Miles Jr. It seems like, in terms of straight line speed, Miles might be running a little bit more draggy of a setup, as even with that slipstream, he is not able to catch.
Yeah, a lot of turns at Silverstone. Definitely do not want to miss any turns at Silverstone. They are extremely difficult, and that extra drag will help.
Somehow Allure kept that valid. Miles definitely using one of his speed tokens. That's what you call the gamer line.
You get 3 every race. You might as well use them.
4. 3 warnings, 4. And then the fourth one's free. As Miles again deep into the corner and almost into the back bumper of Allure.
And that's really good not to hit Allure there, but Allure definitely running a little bit faster than Junior there, but Junior definitely sending it extremely hard into every corner, it feels like.
I feel like Junior has the pace. He's just a little bit bottlenecked at this stage. We also have a contact, it looks like, between Marco Saldana and Fabiano Rousseau. More drivers rocking up to the scene of the crime. Let's see what happened here. This is the replay.
Saldana cannot get out of contact, it feels like. The only driver to be involved in an accident like this, and he's been in 2. Oof.
That one's hard to judge. Definitely need to... That will be looked at by the stewards, as I can't really tell if the SOT car is going unnecessarily slow. It looked like the Bentley was going to make the corner. As I say that, the Bentley has not made the corner that they are in. But that one will definitely be on the stewards. Might be a little bit of a racing incident. We'll see.
We'll return back just for a quick second here to our race leaders. There is a gap of 2.6 from Rivera to Costa. Sorry
to cut you out before that, but before we move on to our leaders, we have our first pit stop of the night, Fabiano Rousseau. He decides to come in after that contact. Now on to the leaders.
Yeah, not much happening here. Rivera putting down some sick laps. Costa doing the same thing. Absolute domination from the pair of these two. I would not be surprised to see this be the final result, but an undercut could help Costa here. We'll just kind of have to see.
Yeah, undercut at this point definitely would maybe cut down a second, but not going to be closing that 3.5 second gap that currently is to Ricardo Rivera. Lucas is going to need to get that hammer down and get that pace up if he wants to catch. I don't see that happening. I think Ricardo's got it if he doesn't put a wheel wrong. I think he just has to keep it on the track here, not pick up any penalties, and regardless of the strategy that this man takes tonight, he should take it home.
Yeah, really hasn't put one wrong yet, and wouldn't be surprised to see with how Lucas Costa has already won 2 races towards the end of the year. We'll see these two battling in a really tight race, because 2 less races for Rivera means that, less points than Costa's going to get. It would be super interesting to see, as on that back bumper is the car in 11th, that Porsche of Hamid, trying to get past Anthony again.
These two are a little inseparable. We'll see if Mo can manage to get by again. He did last time. I don't know why Devin is back in front. It seems that something has changed that. Well, obviously. And Mo has to do all of that hard work over again. Up the road, though, that is Silva. I think Silva was involved with them last time, so this time it's just going to be a little bit of a 2-car battle. We also, side-by-side here between Shelby and Raymer. Although Raymer, he makes pretty easy work of that. Fair enough.
Yeah, Raymer and Shelby been battling all night, kind of just sticking together towards the back of the pack, moving their way up the field. And I believe Hamoud lost that position due to fighting themselves on track with an accident in front.
That tends to get you. We'll see if we can make that up.
Really hard to keep your car in front when there is someone else's car completely sideways on the track, directly in the racing line. It can be a little bit of an issue depending on who you ask. Some people just ignore it, but on board with Hamoud now.
Little go-kart here, deep send. Manages to keep it on track, but is going to get a much poorer exit here. We're going to see Devin rocket out of that corner. Into the brakes for the chicane. Mo, much more tidy. The Porsche, much cleaner onto the brakes. Able to get that car stopped much quicker than the McLaren.
The Hamoud Porsche is quick and has been quicker than Anthony, which is why they overtook Anthony earlier, but obviously Devin, small block Anthony, somehow returned his way in front, and Hamoud still more ground to make up after losing a few positions.
Devin's pushing, you can see it. I think Mo here smells blood in the water. trying to line it up. Target keeps getting away from him, though. The McLaren's just so quick. I think that's probably what Mo is saying in his head right now, is nerf the McLaren!
Yeah, it's definitely tough when you're chasing a car like this that has just a genuine, just pure advantage over your car, and you want to drive your car. You don't want to drive the McLaren. But the McLaren is just overall faster. There's the Porsche excels in certain areas, but, you know, obviously there's a big advantage.
It excels in braking, but in order to excel in, or to really make a difference in terms of excelling in braking, well, you got to have enough power to get fully enough alongside, which with these long straightaways here, the McLaren just has the opportunity to unleash that 4.0 liter twin turbo engine along with its 710 brake horsepower, and it will, well, rocket away.
I mean, you're hearing that Porsche engine scream trying to chase after that McLaren, and it's just not enough on those straightaways. Slowly inching forward, though, I think, for Hamoud. Eventually, they'll get that overtake, but it's just going to take time, as it seems like it always does, with McLaren versus Porsche action from the Porsche.
The flat six-boxer engine. It's doing everything that it possibly can at this stage, but it's not enough. And even if it does, we'll see if there's enough pace to catch Silva in front. Silva seems to be lacking, though. I will say, he hasn't pulled away from these two, even though they are fighting. Up ahead, battle for P3. Around the outside goes Joel Bandera. We'll be turning to the inside here for the next quarter, and Joel, I think, has secured himself a podium.
That's not secured. Definitely secured a spot for now. 30 minutes left for this race. Vinicius. Not sure why they went so wide there. Maybe it was a bit of a precautionary tail. I don't want to get crashed into by Bandera in any position. And maybe a pit's coming up soon for one of them. 30 minutes left now. We're going to see some pit strategies. I think we're going to see a lot more drivers starting to pit in these next few laps that are looking to undercut somebody slightly.
We still more than likely got another 5 minutes at least. Probably, yeah, another 3 laps before we start to see the undercuts really starting to play effect. Then after that, in the next 10 minutes, we're going to see all the drivers dive into the pit lane. So it'll be a bit of a flurry, I think, in terms of when drivers make the stop. Whoever makes that first call, or rather second call, as Fabiano Rousseau made a very, very early call. That was to repair damage, though. And Mo Hamoud, by the way, did get by Devin Anthony. Did we catch that? Or did I turn the camera away for a second and he made the overtake?
You were watching an overtake for third, so I think it's excusable.
Fair enough. We
also try and get everyone we can.
Rocky Rocco trying to make up the ground on to Miles Jr., the Brazilian.
Trying to hawk down that chrome Porsche into the section. Won't have enough here. Just going to try and take a better line. Maybe get a better run, but Miles Jr.'s definitely been a lot more on pace since, you know, all 4 wheels are on the ground for now.
Rocky, though, he is gaining. There's no denying that. The lap times, though, favoring Rocky by 0.7 of a second. So this should be a matter of when, not if.
Yeah, a lot of pace out of Rocco. Had a really rough Zolder race, I believe, finished in those 20 spots or somewhere close. But Rocky Rocco from Rockefeller Racing, you did not lie to me. That is such a fun name to say. Definitely been a lot more on pace than he was at Zolder.
Feeling the groove here tonight, as you can see him gaining under braking. Porsche slipping. You can hear the tires. They're on the edge. Miles, once again, squealing the tires. That's not going to be helping him, and Rocco jumps in for the undercut. Fair enough. I mean, yeah, fair enough, I guess.
If you don't want to beat him, leave him. Is kind of the strategy they went with there. Rocco, it's kind of interesting. I'm curious to where they're going to come out at the end of all the pits. I might end up kind of closer towards 6th or 5th, depending on where they pit. But we'll obviously have to see. 26 minutes, just over 30 seconds over, remaining in this race.
I wonder what Rocky made. I wonder why he did that. I'm sure I'll hear afterwards a message on why. Rocky, let me know. But that seems like a very interesting call, in my opinion. I feel like you just go for the overtake on track and use that remaining grip that you have while you have it. Because he had the pace. I mean, he had the overtake that lap. I'm almost confident through the hanger straight and the stow. I just had to set it up on the exit of Maggots and Beckett's, and he should have had that signed, sealed, and delivered. But maybe he's just not confident in that, and maybe he thinks better. Maybe he was tired of his tires. I don't know.
Yeah, Silverstone is a very wide circuit, but it is difficult to overtake. I can understand if he wasn't too confident in it. But Rocco definitely had the pace to do it, and definitely, you know, has the car, and he's Rocky Rocco from Rockefeller Racing. Who would doubt that? Absolutely.
It's not the most difficult track to overtake on. It's, you know, there's opportunities in pretty much every corner.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's there's plenty of this isn't your Valencias, this isn't your Zandvoorts. You got room. There's there's especially on the hanger straight. Like I said, that's going to be your absolute easiest textbook time if you have the pace. Marcos Vinicius is in. So we're seeing the early pit stops, and I wonder if that's... I mean, honestly, I don't even know. I don't know why. Well, we're at the halfway point. No, we're not. I don't know. Interesting strategies here. There's more drivers
just over the halfway. Yeah, I mean, I don't see anything wrong with it, per se. If you're okay with your tires, you're like, I can get an extra 2 laps out of the tires I have. Let me grab new ones so I can maybe get a little bit of an undercut. But I guess I'm very interested to see how all of that is going to work out, because this may not work out for a lot of these guys.
I don't know.
It's very early.
I don't think it matters that much. As we mentioned earlier, there's not much tire drop-off in terms of deg on this track, so... I mean, it's fine. I don't think there's too much strategy to be had here in terms of actual pit lane strategy and, oh, the undercut's so much better, the overcut's so much better. It's Silverstone, it's a flat track, and there's 3.6 miles. Anything can really happen. It's just down to mistakes. And that might be what we're seeing. The driver's just saying, yeah, I mean, I feel like... I guess one thing else, it could be also incorrect tire pressures. The driver's just saying, all right, I'm coming in early because there's been a solid 3 degrees or 2 degrees Celsius change in track temp, so that could also do it.
It's more confusing to me how it's just been sunny this whole time and the track just keeps getting colder.
Yeah, we don't pay mind to that. Well, it's warmed up. It's warmed up by 2 degrees, but still, yeah, how it's been colder during how it was warmer and overcast. I don't know on that one.
It is really, really funny. But one of the guys that came in, pretty important player, Lucas Costa, was the farthest ahead driver that hit the pits in that group of, I think, 5 that jumped in there.
Yeah, he got stuck in traffic, you know, and that's sort of one of the negatives to coming out, or to going in early. Is you come out and you're in traffic, you have to deal with drivers that are on old tires, you have to make the overtake. Big send there from Lucas. We don't see too much of a fight from Shelby. Fair enough.
Yeah, I don't want to fight Lucas Costa, even if I'm, you know, on the same lap as him fighting for a position. That is a very fast driver with a lot of skill, and a lot of skill is maybe even an understatement.
Yeah, it's also just on different strategies. Know who you're racing. You're only going to affect your lap times and Lucas's lap times by doing that, and you're not in his race and he's not in your race, so don't bother each other. Just just get along. And that's Shelby doing an excellent job of that, I gotta say. I'd do the same thing.
Yeah. As we hit the halfway mark, keep pushing. The engineer lets us know, and let everybody else know on this track is Bandera very far ahead right now. Or rather, Bandera Rivera very far ahead right now with a very fast car. Ahead right now is Bandera's, which I meant to say.
Your race engineer tells you when you're halfway through the race?
Yes, he does. I assume you have it turned off because you're streaming, and I assume you probably did that a very long time ago.
I have him. He talks on the final lap.
Oh.
He doesn't tell me. Halfway. He doesn't tell me when the race is halfway over.
He said, halfway, keep pushing.
I've never heard that. That's ridiculous. Why have I never heard that before?
No, I mean, I have a really good relationship with my race engineer, apparently.
You're just using the base game? You don't have anything else, like any other spotters? That's crazy.
No,
Okay,
absolutely
I've
not.
never heard that. I guess my game just doesn't like me having that setting.
Definitely ACC as Rocky Rocco on that outside line, fighting for position. Yes or no? Yes.
Yes, yeah, he
Yes,
looked to
they
the
are.
inside. He looked to the inside there of Allure. He didn't quite get it done. Approaching now the chicane. Rocky going to be checking up to the bumper. He has the pace. I see a lot of battles on track happening right now. In fact, this is a battle for the lead.
Oh.
Ricardo Rivera had an abysmal stop.
How long was that stop? Because Rivera was
Yeah, three and a bit seconds
Rivera
longer.
was 4 seconds ahead as Lucas Costa thinks about trying to get a move off. Didn't decide to do it, but he's gonna, I think, get a better run if he can get a good section through here. But he's kind of forced to lose some of that run because Rivera's going a little bit slow through that corner. Rivera, a few mistakes here from him.
Yeah, he took the same line. Rivera just slow out of pit lane. It wasn't much of a mistake. I wonder if he missed his box, but 3.5 seconds slower. I don't think there was any damage repaired, but he's feeling the pressure now. Lucas Costa, you can see he's feeling the attack. Maybe needs to dial it down a notch. Currently driving it at what seems to be about 110%. Needs to maybe tune it down to about 100 and, well, maybe 97.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult. You don't want to make too many mistakes here because obviously Rivera does not make a lot of mistakes, and that gap you don't just want to see slowly increasing for Costa, which it is, unfortunately, through this section. For Lucas there, it is a tough task, and we've seen it happen every single lap one. We haven't been really watching it. Rivera just slowly crawling away from that purple car behind.
It is a crawl, and this is what Lucas doesn't want to see. He wants to be seeing that back bumper again. You can see he's pushing. This has been the most competition he's had all season, so this has to be a pretty good time for Lucas, and you know that he's feeling that competitive edge, and he wants that position. How much, though? Is he going to overdrive? We see both drivers on invalid laps, and I'm going to be honest, I think that these drivers are using up their speed tokens more and more as they go through.
Yeah, stop and go would be absolutely massive here, and I had a little bit of a heart attack. I saw that Lexus in third. It still has to make a stop, for everybody wondering at home.
Final driver to do so, in fact, Matt McDonald. And he has... Well, he stays out this lap, I think. Or no, he's a little bit further behind. We'll see if he comes in this lap. We also have a battle between Rocky Rocco, who's going to go down the inside of Allure. Goes too deep, though. Can hold on, I think, through the farm sector. No, the Porsche. Nicely done. Or the 47. It's going to be a straight-up drag race at this point.
Yeah, Porsche normally doesn't win that as off goes Eller. I'm not sure if there's any contact there.
Looked like no contact, but that looked a bit rude.
Rocco's still not going to have... really an ability to get an overtake right there. Somehow Eller goes off track. I wonder if Rocco kind of lost that car almost to the left. I think they jolted that car to the left slightly. No, am I?
No, I think they just went a little bit deep. Ran out of room, or ran Allure out of room there, which kind of forced him onto the grass. Thankfully, it didn't spin or anything. Nothing intentional by any means. Rocky turns in too early there, and that's going to affect his exit massively. You can see he goes off track. That's going to put him under threat from Miles Jr. The second stab at the wheel made him lose all the speed. Miles into Maggots and Beckett's, gets the overtake. Textbook.
Yeah, just flung right past there. Rocky Rocco obviously not out of it, but it just feels like all that Ferrari is doing is fighting Porsches right now. Two ahead of him now and had one behind him, Hamoud, that he overtook again at some point and left.
Ooh, I want to watch that again. That was so good. Look at that overtake. That was stellar. Maggots and Beckett's. I know I said earlier that you can make an overtake on pretty much any corner, and I wasn't joking when I said that. Maggots and Beckett's, though, is typically the one exception to that, but Miles Jr., he doesn't care.
Found a gap and took it during your replay, though. Unfortunately, Silva spun the car just behind them.
Oh, no.
And fell to 13th. It feels like every time we go to a replay, something bad happens. I don't know if you noticed that, but I definitely have.
Unfortunately, I have as well. Silva, he is really not feeling the balance of that car right now. Maybe he got something wrong in pit stop, as he did take tires. Luke Radacre in front did not. And Devin Anthony also did.
Yeah, it feels like something's wrong there, but maybe we'll get it back on track really quickly here. Could just be I don't like my setting, or I'm not used to the setting I just switched it to, and you go through a corner the way that you would have initially, and you made a bigger change, and obviously it's going to happen, but Silva definitely having a much better race than he did that first time, no matter what has happened throughout this.
Yeah, P23 is pretty hard to finish worse than when, you know, there's only 20 drivers left in the session. So Silva looking up in the world. So good job on you, brother.
Always looking for the positives here in this broadcast booth, it feels like.
Devin Anthony, I got to say, there's not much positive to look for him. He has been struggling. The McLaren, feel like has been kicking his butt here tonight. And it's just been tough. He's been doing as much as he can. But that Rockefeller Racing McLaren, I'm not sure, once again, if the balance is off, if the setup isn't quite correct. But something is just not allowing Devin to push that car to the maximum where he normally would be. Yeah,
I believe he qualied really well, too, in, like, top 7, correct?
He got P11 in quali.
P11. And he came up to P8, I believe. I know he was in the top 10 at some point this race and just started slowly losing it as Silva going to try to find his way around Silva here.
You have to capitalize on this. Silva made a mistake. This should be doable. Devin Anthony, down the inside, needs to go late onto the brakes. He does. Can he stick it? He just can't. Devin, you gotta make those overtakes stick. I mean, that was, once again, a textbook lineup in terms of how to make an overtake happen. Devin just not comfortable with the car, and you can clearly see that.
Yeah, that car just doesn't feel like he's getting all of it out of it, like you mentioned, obviously, and not to take attention away from this, like we mentioned, that slow crawl away, Rivera 1.5 ahead now.
Yeah, the Puerto Rican driver slowly disappearing into the distance. As you can see, a little red dot is what we see at the moment. Well, within the next few laps, I predict that's just going to get smaller and smaller as it gets further away. Man, seeing these guys take Maggots and Beckett's, though, that is confidence, flat out, for way longer than most people are.
Yeah, it's really scary. It's kind of the best way I can describe it. I've been riding on board with a few of these guys while they try and hit it, and it is just absolutely insane how you keep that pedal to the floor, as Silva, I believe, just lost another position?
Hard to tell. I think he's going for one at the he's going for one at the very least. I don't know if he just lost it, but currently P13.
Trying to fight his way back. Definitely came a little faster there in that Aston Martin. Trying to fight his way back after the spin. Gonna have maybe an option here into this next turn after this as we hit the hairpin if he can keep up this pace. Not the hairpin, the chicane. Close enough.
Sweeping, undulating corners of Maggots and Beckett's, one of the most famous corner complexes in the world. Cars then onto the hanger straight, flat out, gonna go all the way to top gear. And into the braking zone, Devin Anthony late. Manages to keep it in check. Luke Radiker being a bit of a thorn in the side, though, for Ivalazio.
Ivalazio thought about the move there. Didn't brake late enough for it to happen, but definitely has a little bit of a faster pace. Was running ahead of all these drivers previously, and just, you know, lost the car. Silva been making some mistakes tonight, but that car still has been fast either way.
One thing I'm seeing from the further back here, I'm just seeing this a little bit of a lack of confidence. You know, multiple opportunities have been granted to pretty much all of these drivers to make overtakes happen, and they just don't quite seize the day. A little bit scared of going into the side panel of the driver in front of them. You gotta have confidence in yourself. That's one of the most important things, especially at Silverstone. In order to get those extra thousandths, those extra tenths, you have to just believe that you can take the line as fast as you can, and that you can make that overtake stick, because it should not be this difficult in being stuck in this train.
Yeah, it's a little bit odd to see. It definitely is a much easier track to overtake on than I think we've ever commentated together on.
Joel Bandera
Whoa.
takes the gamer line. Going to be picking up presumably a speed token. Here we see an overtake there as Marcos Vinicius gets the overtake done on a Matt McDonald, who is not pit. He gets that done within one corner.
That beefy all-carbon Lexus still running fourth. Obviously, yes, needs to pit. I assume we'll let Bandera by momentarily, but that train that we're still seeing back there is just very odd to me as well. I don't know what just happened. Where did Rocco go? Oh, wait, I'm totally... Don't worry about that. Disregard last.
Yeah, Rocco's in P9.
I was looking for Silva.
Silva currently ahead of Devin. Trying to get by the likes of Radiker, and Luke is doing a great job of defense. You know, once again, credit where credit's due here in terms of, yes, he should have made that overtake by now, but in all fairness, Luke doing a great job to hold the pressure. That, not the greatest defense, no offense, Luke. To maybe needs to leave a little bit more space on the apex, but that's all right. Regardless, Ivalazio says, I'm coming through, and takes that handedly.
Yeah, definitely good defense there, but you mentioned with the confidence, I think a lot of these drivers have to realize that a lot of the time, if you're going to be a little bit late, if you're going to make a mistake, it's better to make that mistake sometimes, in practice especially, and it's hard to see how much of a lack of confidence with so much practice time these drivers have. It feels like they should be just way more aggressive than specifically this group's been. Oof,
Devin had a good chance.
Curb.
He had such a good chance to get a good exit there, and unfortunately, he clips that curb and is going to allow his teammate Marco Saldana by. That's team orders right there. Matt McDonald has crashed up ahead. I'm not sure. No, he's in pit lane. Excuse me, he's not crashed.
It's the pit lane glitch with 10 minutes to go. The Lexus has returned to get some, probably, I would presume, new tires and some fuel.
Fixed 25 seconds for fuel. I presume probably no new tires. Probably gonna leave those to be, as it's a little bit late to even get those tires up to temperature with 9 minutes and 30 seconds left. You might as well stick it out on your old rubber the whole way. And that's Devin Anthony falling backwards again. Joey Raymer is by without an issue. Now I think that these are unofficial teammates as well. And Matt McDonald, DSQ. Ooh. Oh no, he got a speeding in pit. How did he pick up 2 penalties when entering pit lane?
I don't even understand that. I think he got 2 speeding in pit lane penalties.
He must have. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of. There's a penalty for Pagani.
Too many speed tokens you moved up, and with 10 minutes, that is the last thing you want to see. Just used too many tokens there. You have an allotted amount, and he is out.
Really am curious what happened with McDonald. I mean, it must have been 2 speeding and pit lane penalties. That's the only thing I can think of on entry and after you get launched. That's so unlikely, though, because that means that you were not using a pit limiter or something of that sort.
I mean, practice your pit entries squared is kind of the best way I can describe what happened there. Maybe the pit limiter turned off on accident is kind of the only reasonable thing I can think of for getting 2 pit lane speeding penalties.
I don't know. Going to be kicking himself on that one, as there is really only one driver at fault for that. And speaking of drivers at fault, Marco Saldana makes a mistake and comes into the grips of Joey Raymer.
Speaking, well, kind of the same thing, Joey Raymer going to have an opportunity here. Saldana been involved in 2 incidents that have been more racing incidents than anything, but Saldana going to deal with the outside of Raymer. Raymer going to get that inside line again through the second turn. He'll make it stick. Saldana loses that position and a lot of time to the McLaren ahead. Mercedes ahead.
I actually don't think that Saldana fought that. I sense there might be some unofficial team orders here. I think Joey Raymer and Saldana, I think Joey Raymer is part of that the Rockefeller Racing family. I could be wrong, but I think he is. So Marco Saldana, that might have been communicated. Now, up ahead, speaking of the Rockefeller Racing family, Rocky Rocco of Rockefeller Racing is in a 3-way scrap here, and that Porsche is loose in front.
Yeah, it's been Rocky Rocco versus the 2 Porsches all night. Oh my goodness. Just been dealing with it now, and back to the old enemy of Hamoud, now right behind him.
Rocky Rocco, the Rockefeller Racing driver, pressuring and being pressured by a Porsche. Was that a flash of the headlights? Was that a little acknowledgement? Does he know that he's on stream? Very well may have been.
Surprised. I know some drivers do like to watch it. It's just good background noise. Some guys like background noise. Some guys like to be focused in, but habits are not what we should be talking about here. When Rocco is doing a choreographed dance right now with 2 Porsches ahead and behind, trying to defend and overtake at the same time.
Yeah, and just a reminder, another drive-through penalty. Marco Saldana, that's huge.
Oof.
Marco Saldana picks up drive-through on lap 18 here. But just a reminder, in case you guys were curious, this stream is sponsored by SimStaff. Ready to turn your passion for sim racing into a profession? SimStaff is on the outlook for talented sim racers and enthusiasts like you. Join them in shaping the future of sim racing. Take a look at the link in the description and tell them that SFRGT sent you. As we see more and more drive-through penalties being picked up, Pagani picks up another one.
He has 2? Wait, he has 2 drive-through penalties now?
No, never mind.
Oh, no, he had the initial one. Okay, sorry. I was a little confused
Pagani
there.
got by Devin. I think Devin made a mistake. That's why I saw the nameplates come together, and that confused me.
Yeah, Pagani going to need to take that soon. That's 2 drive-through penalties. I would not be surprised to see, I would guess 2 more is probably the limit we'll see in terms of speeding tokens in any of these battles, but we'll see, obviously.
Ricardo Rivera has his fair share of invalid laps. Now, just because you've invalidated a lap doesn't mean you necessarily have received a warning, but it is more likely than if you kept your lap valid, that's for sure.
I surely know that. I win a COTA race with, I don't think I validated a lap, and I don't think I got a penalty. I didn't use a single speeding ticket, so it's definitely possible to do things like that.
I think Chrono also fell into that category on that COTA race where there was not a single valid lap set throughout the entirety of it. But hey, if you make it to the checkered flag, that's all that matters.
That is true. I'm here for positions, not records.
Marcos Vinicius. He's trying to set this podium alight here by having 2 Brazilians on there. Joel Bandera, he wants an American to slot in.
We battle here with these 4 minutes remaining. Bandera been all over Vinicius, just very close. Finally got close enough now to make it a battle fully.
There's a bit more going on this livery than we thought. As you can see the details on there.
Ooh, that is very pretty. Bit of a copper, I guess, pattern I'd call that. Something like that. Well, the color is copper, is more what I mean. It's not obviously copper. Vinicius trying to fight off Bandera still, obviously. There'll be more opportunities to overtake just ahead. Bandera going to have a little bit of a better run, obviously. It's in the McLaren, but it's not a difference like McLaren and Porsche is.
No, the Ferrari's quite quick. It's competitive, yes. I would say, with the straight line speed of the McLaren.
Competitive zone, you might say.
Still the McLaren's pretty quick. That's the you know, let's not be I don't know what you're getting at here, but let's not be overly. The game is called of course, a competitive zone. That is not how you say that word, but that's okay. Competizione.
Yep, I forgot about that. Anyway.
Competizione.
Not my proudest moment. I would give it a shot here, but Hamoud
I wasn't even
trying to
sure
find their
what you were
proudest
going
moment.
for.
Me either half the time. It's definitely a rough one here in the booth. I make references to nothing and everything at the same time. Hamoud, it's chasing down this Ferrari ahead.
Commentating is somewhat like chucking darts at a board blindfolded, and you know, some hit, and sometimes you end up missing and hit the wall and punch a hole through your window. You know, it happens. I think that's an Austrian question for you. I can't say that ever happened to me. No, it did not, and I'm not joking. But you know, it was just the analogy. Here's the move, though. Hamoud, outside line. I don't think he's going to be able to get it done. Yeah, it's a rough situation there. Not enough speed into the corner. It's hard to beat that Ferrari there, especially Rocco. Kind of got that car, obviously, way better than it was race 1. And he's fighting for P8, and I would not be surprised if Hamoud does not find his way around that Ferrari there. I say that, and immediately... Oh, never mind. They're not going side by side. I have no depth perception. It's through through the first corner, which is Cops. side by side into Maggots and Beckett's just about. Hamoud, though, you really got to be prioritizing your overtake differently, in my opinion, there. But you know what, though? Never mind. I take it back, because Hamoud is in that Porsche. You really got to get the job done when you can, because when you get onto the hangar straight, that Ferrari is going to be much punchier, much quicker, even with that slipstream. You can see here, Ferrari even walking away.
Yeah, there's going to be those mistakes where you can kind of just find a little bit of room, but Rocco obviously didn't make one. And it might be a speeding ticket. Not sure if those right side tires went off the curb there.
Wasn't off track. Whether or not that was a penalty or whether or not it was a warning, I'm not sure. That is one of the
Mood
features.
catches the curb. Ooh.
Was that what that was? Okay. I was.
Yeah.
Thought he lifted. It's always a question. Fuel, once you get down to these stages of the race. We are going to be having one extra lap, so the drivers that prepared for that, well, they're going to be rewarded. Let's see if any drivers run out of fuel.
Haven't seen that yet on the sim race. That would be my first experience with that. But Eller, off camera, makes the overtake for 5th place. As there's a train up in front, all fighting for that 5th position. Azka, the one that just got overtaken.
Dang, that must have happened from a ways back.
Yeah, it was an absolute dive bomb. I was going to say something, and then I did not realize it even happened, and I was staring at it.
So I was looking at the timing charts. I thought the gap was like 7/10 or something. So Allura must have, or Azka must have had a mistake, and in combination with a send. Regardless, this will be the white flag lap, and Azka needs the pace if they want the P5 back for the Indonesian driver.
The McLaren is quick. Azka needs to find the way around, though, in a bit of a Porsche sandwich.
I think that's a little bit of latency. It looked like the McLaren bottomed out on absolutely nothing there, but I think it's all good.
Yeah, it might be my latency,
Ooh.
but that McLaren just phased into the ground on my screen. Hopefully Azka did not do that on his screen.
I don't think he did. He's got a great run right now in a bit of a sandwich for the Porsches, but look, that inside line is open. The 74 car just needs to go late enough onto the brakes. We're going to go 3 wide into Stowe. Not late enough, though. And
only loser there is Junior, who goes out on that other side,
I was gonna
way
say,
far out.
Go? Oh, he takes the cone brutally into the pit lane, through the Formula 1 pit lane, takes the wrong entry. I've made that mistake one time.
Definitely
Azka,
happens.
though, is still not able to get by. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say definitely happens. I've actually seen it happen during a race this week. It was incredible, and I heard the live comm. It was very, very sad.
As we head to the line here, Ricardo Rivera takes the race win. The Puerto Rican first race of the season for him, and he takes it with flying colors. Lucas Costa 12.5 seconds behind. As he comes to the line now, it is going to be his P2 finish tonight. Marcos Vinicius 20 seconds behind Lucas. And still a bit of a battle. Joel Bandera looking to maybe take the podium. We'll see. Fikri Azka under threat from Miles Jr. This is in the final corner complex through left field into Woodcut sweep. Miles Jr. now under threat from Rocky Rocco.
That is a tight bunch back there, but it looks like everybody's going to remain in the same positions they started the corner in, and I'll finish 6, 7, 8.
As we take a quick little look here through our rundown, starting off in P1, Ricardo Rivera, Lucas Costa in 2nd, Marcos Vinicius in 3rd, Joel Bandera in 4th. We have Allura in the 448 in P5, Fikri Azka in 6th, Fikri Azka in 6th, Miles Jr. in 7th, Rocky Rocco and the Rockefeller Racing takes home 8th, Mohamed in 9th, and bringing out our top 10 is Evelazio Silva.
Very good race for Silva there. Lost, obviously, that car with, I think, 15 minutes to go. Brought it back from 14th place all the way to 9th. So that is 23rd to 9th for Silva between those two races. An absolutely wonderful comeback for them.
Absolutely. Now that's going to do it, folks. That's going to be it. We have Ricardo Rivera, Lucas Costa, Marcos Vinicius, your top 3 for race 2 here tonight. But, of course, we are going to be back next week as we get ready to head on over to Snetterton. Staying in England, we have 60 minutes at Snetterton, March 15th. At the same time, do add that to your calendar. Hit that like and subscribe button while you're down there. As it stands, though, thank you to SimStaff. Thank you to Coach Dave for providing the sponsors for this stream. I've been Mike Nause. Joined with me tonight, Carson Kass. Thank you very much.
And good night.
Yeah, and thank you, everybody. Hope everyone has a lovely evening, afternoon, or morning, wherever you are in this fine world. Thank you, and good night.